What is allergen risk assessment for nut allergies? Imagine walking into a restaurant or a food factory and not knowing if a tiny bit of nut protein is hiding somewhere. That's where allergen risk assessment for nut allergies comes into play. It is a careful process used to find out how likely it is that nut allergens might accidentally get into food or environments. The goal is to protect people who are allergic to nuts from having serious reactions. The process starts by figuring out which nut allergens might be present without intention. This could happen through cross-contact during food handling or processing. For example, if a machine used for making nut products is also used for other foods, tiny amounts of nuts could transfer. Risk assessment looks at how much nut protein is needed to cause a reaction. This amount varies from person to person but is important for setting safe limits. These limits are called threshold levels, and they help determine what amount of nut allergen is unlikely to cause harm for most allergic individuals. Next, the assessment considers how common and how severe allergic reactions to different nuts are. Some people might have mild symptoms, but others could experience life-threatening reactions like anaphylaxis. The process also looks at whether certain groups, such as highly sensitive individuals, face greater risks. It is also important to examine the form of the nut allergen. For example, whole nuts, nut oils, or airborne particles can all pose different risks. Highly refined nut oils, for instance, usually contain very low levels of protein and are less likely to cause reactions. In practical terms, allergen risk assessment helps food companies and workplaces put safety measures in place. They can review their production steps to avoid cross-contact, establish cleaning routines, and decide when to include precautionary labels. These labels warn consumers about possible nut contamination. In workplaces, individual risk assessments can identify specific risks for employees with nut allergies, leading to tailored safety plans. Overall, allergen risk assessment for nut allergies is a key part of managing food safety. It involves careful evaluation of hazards, setting safe exposure levels, and communicating risks clearly. This process helps prevent accidental exposure and keeps people with nut allergies safe and healthy.